So what is a quadratic equation? In algebra, a quadratic equation is any equation that can be rearranged in standard form as ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where x represents an unknown and a, b, and c represent known numbers where a is not equal to 0. If a is equal to 0, then the equation is linear, not quadratic, as there is no ax squared term. It has one variable in the equation in which the greatest exponent or index of the variable is 2. So it refers to the ax squared. So because we will talk about the quadratic equation, let's first remember what is an equation. An equation is composed of more than one term has an equal sign. So this is one term, this is another term, and it has an equal sign. It also has an operation that separates the term. In a term, we can see the numerical coefficient. The 3 is the numerical coefficient. Our x is the variable or the literal coefficient. A term can also be a constant or just a number. It does not have a variable, so it is still considered a term. So that is an equation. We are trying to find the value of x, the variable. The variable is the letter. The most common variable that we are using is x. We're trying to find the value of x in order for this equation to be correct. Because if you solve this expression here on the left side, it should be equal to the right side, which is 0. So if we are trying to find the value of x, and if we solve this, it should be 0, so that it will be equal to 0 here, and the equation will be correct. Now let's go to our main topic, which is the quadratic equation. But first, let's understand the standard form of the quadratic equation. So we have here ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Our ax squared is the quadratic term. Without the ax squared, the equation cannot be called a quadratic equation. Our bx is the linear term, and our c is the constant. Our constant is only a number. Of course, our equal sign and the 0 here. So we are using the standard form in order for us to easily solve the quadratic equation. So this is important. This is important to remember the standard form. So we have example here. 3x squared minus 7x plus 5 is equal to 0. This quadratic equation is already in the standard form. We can see our 3x squared here is our ax squared. Our negative 7x is our bx. And our positive 5 is the constant, the c. So that means that our a, the value of a here is 3, I mean. Our b is negative 7, and our c is 5. And a and b, in order for you to find out the value of a and b, you have to look at the number attached to the variable or the literal coefficient. Here, the x squared is attached to 3. That means that it is our a. Our 7, negative 7 is attached to x. So this is our b. And of course, our c, the constant, is 5. So that means that our a is equal to 3, our b is equal to negative 7, our c is equal to 5. And that is how you find the value of a, b, and c in the standard form of quadratic equation. Now let's go identify these following examples if these are quadratic equations or not. So remember the definition of quadratic equation. First is it can be rearranged in a standard form as ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We can see that the equation here is already in the standard form. We can see the ax squared is our 5x squared, the bx is our negative 3x, the c is the constant, the 5. So it is a quadratic equation. It is already in the standard form, where x represents unknown and a, b, and c represents known numbers. So we don't have any idea what is the value of x here right now. So unknown. And our a, b, c represent known numbers. So these are the value of our a, b, c. A is 5, b is 3, is negative 3 I mean, c is 5. So that's how you identify the value of a, b, and c. Just look at the number attached to the variables. So if a is equal to 0, our a is not equal to 0, so it is a quadratic equation. It has one variable in the equation in which the greatest exponent or index of the variable is 2. So we will have to look at the variable of each term. We have here x squared and x. The greatest the greatest index in the variable is 2 here, so that means that this is a quadratic equation. Next, 7x minus 31 is equal to 7. Again, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. If we can arrange it into a standard form, then this is a quadratic equation. So 7x. So first, ax squared. We don't have any x squared in the given. We only have bx, which is our 7x, our c, which is the constant. This is also. So this is not a quadratic equation since it does not have the greatest, it does not have a variable in the equation in which the greatest exponent or index of the variable is 2. So this is not a quadratic equation. Next, 9x plus 5x squared minus 3 is equal to 0. Let's arrange this one. Ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We can see here our ax squared is 5x squared plus our 9x is our bx. Our constant, negative 3. Negative 3 I mean. This is negative 3. Is equal to 0. So it is already in the standard form. The greatest exponent in the variable is 2. So this is a quadratic equation.
Hello guys, we're going to discuss how to find the value of a, b, and c in quadratic equation. First, we need to know how to transform quadratic equation into standard form. So the standard form of quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So if you find the value of a, b, and c, you need to know that the value of a found in the first term or the numerical coefficient found in the first term, and the value of b found the second term or the numerical coefficient found the second term, and the c is the constant. So let's give an example of quadratic equation. For example, 5x squared plus 4x plus 8 equals 0. So find the value of a, b, and c. A is equal A is found in the first term, which is in this term. So the numerical coefficient of this term is 5. So the value of A is 5. And the value of B found in the second term, or the numerical coefficient found in the second term, which is 4. So the value of B is 4. And the C, or the constant, is the term without a literal coefficient. So the constant is 8. C equals 8. And if the question are not given in a standard form, we need to transform it in the standard form. So for example, 8x plus 16 equals x squared. So we need to equate it into a standard form. So while transferring, the sign of the term also change. X squared transfer, it will be negative x squared plus 8x, and copy the constant, thus 16 equals 0. And then find the value of A. A is found in the first term, or the numerical coefficient, so negative 1. And B is positive 8. And C is equals to 16.
Factoring a quadratic equation can be defined as the process of breaking the equation into the product of its factors. In other words, we can also say that factorization is the reverse of multiplying out. In factoring a quadratic equation, we should follow this step. First, write the quadratic equation in standard form. The polynomial on the left side of the equation and 0 on the right side. Second, factor the left side completely. And lastly, apply the zero factor property. Set each factor equal to 0, then solve for the x. Example number 1. Solve 8x squared plus 3x is equals to 10x. Solution: 8x squared minus 10x plus 3 is equals to 0. Factor: 2x minus 1 and 4x minus 3 is equals to 0. So, for 2x minus 1 is equals to 0, 2x is equals to 1, then x is equals to 1 half. Or, 4x minus 3 is equals to 0, 4x is equals to 3, and x is equals to 3/4. Therefore, the equation has two solutions, and those are 1 half and 3/4.
Quadratic equations by factoring. Given 6x squared minus 5x plus 1 equals 0. This equation is already in standard form, so we can continue to the next step, which is to factor the given. First, we would write close open parentheses. Since x squared is the first term, we need to find the factors of 6. So we have 1 and 6, 2 and 3. These are the factors of 6. 2 and 3 is equal to 5 when added, and is the factor of 6. So, let us write 2x and 3x. The x came from the x squared. To select the sign, we had to look for the second and third term. As you can see, the second term is negative. So negative times negative is equal to positive. And we will get the negative sign. Next is that we see 2x and 3x when added can be equal to 5 as I mentioned earlier, so we only need number 1. Okay, this would be equal to 0. The next step is that we equate each factors to 0. 2x minus 1 is equal to 0 and 3x minus 1 is equal to 0. So 2x transfer negative 1 here would be positive. Next, we should divide this by 2 so that the x will remain on the left side. The answer would be x is equal to 1/2. On the next side, 3x would be the negative 1 will be transferred here, giving us positive 1. And then divided this also by 3 so that the x will remain. X would be equal to 1/3. To check our answer, we will use the substitution property. So the substitution property is a property where the x will be substituted by these numbers. Okay, let us write 6x squared minus 5x plus 1 is equal to 0. First is x is equals to 1/2. Next, copy the given and substitute the x to 1/2. 6 times 1/2 squared minus 5 times 1/2 plus 1 is equal to 0. Next, 6 1/2 squared is 1/4. Then minus 5 and 1/2 plus 1 is equal to 0. 6 times 1/4 is equal to 6/4 minus 5 times 1/2 would be 5/2 plus 1 is equal to 0. 6/4 can give us the lowest term of 3/2 minus 5/2 plus 1 is equal to 0. The next step is that we subtract this. 3 minus 5 would be equal to negative 2/2 plus 1 is equal to 0. Negative 2/2 is equal to negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. Negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 0 equals 0. So, x is equals to 1/2 is correct. Next, 6x squared minus 5x plus 1 is equal to 0. Substitute x with 1/3. 6 1/3 squared minus 5 times 1/3 plus 1 equals 0. 6 times 1/3 squared. 1/3 squared is equals to 1/9 minus 5 times 1/3 plus 1 is equal to 0. 6 times 1/9 is equal to 6/9 minus 5/3 plus 1 is equal to 0. 6/9 can give the lowest term of 2/3 minus 5/3 plus 1 is equal to 0. Next, we get 2 minus 5 would be equal to negative 3/3 plus 1 is equal to 0. Negative 3/3 is equal to negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. Negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 0 equals 0. So, the x equals 1/3 is also correct.
Quadratic formula and the discriminant. The solution of a quadratic formula in the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. A cannot be equal to 0 are given by the quadratic formula. Our quadratic formula is x equal to negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Example, 3x squared plus 9x minus 20 is equal to 0. So our a is equal to 3 and our b is positive 9 and our c or the constant is positive 20. So we have negative 9 plus or minus 9 squared minus 4 times 3 times 20 divided by 2 times 3. Next, negative 9 plus or minus 9 squared is equal to 81. And then negative 4 times 3 times 20 is negative 240 divided by 6. The equation has two distinct rational solutions. X is equal to negative 9 plus the square root of 321 over 6. And x is equal to negative 9 minus the square root of 321 over 6. Solve the following using quadratic formula. Given 6x squared minus 17x plus 12 is equals to 0. Step 1. Write the quadratic equation in standard form and we need to identify the values for a, b, and c. Our a is equals to 6. A is the coefficient in front of x squared. B is the coefficient in front of x. So, our b is negative 17 and c is the constant and c is equals to positive 12. X is equals to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Step 2. Write the formula. Then substitute the values of a, b, and c. With the formula, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Negative b, our b is equals to negative 17 plus or minus the square root b squared. Our b is negative 17 squared minus, copy the 4, a, our a is 6. Our c is positive 12 divided by 2 times our a is 6. Step 3. Simplify the fraction and solve for x. Negative times negative is positive. So we have positive 17 plus or minus the square root of negative 17 times negative 17. That is 289 minus 4 times 6 times 12, 288. Divided by 2 times 6, it is 12. 17 plus or minus the square root 289 minus 288. We have 1 divided by 12. 17 plus or minus, what is the square root of 1? It is 1 divided by 12. If you have plus or minus symbols, you can break it in to two answers. X is equal to 17 plus 1 divided by 12. 17 plus 1 is 18 over 12. We need to reduce in lowest term the 18 over 12. It is 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So the answer is x is equal to 3 halves. Next, 17 minus 1 divided by 12 is equals to 17 minus 1. 16 over 12. Reduce it in lowest term. 16 divided by 12. What number can we reduce in order to lowest term? That would be 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. So, therefore, our x is equals to 3 halves and x is equals to 4 thirds. Thank you.